welcome. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever or whenever you're watching this. So I have with me today someone who's been running around totally confused for the past while, trying to make it here in among what sounds like a very busy schedule. I have Velten Tiemann, and I apologize if I'm pronouncing that wrong. You can correct me. But he is the founder and brewer and general in control person of Wild Dog in Zambia. So Velten first, am I pronouncing your name right?
If my mother was still alive, she'd tell you how to do it. It's Velten Tiemann, but I've been called lots of names. So
Okay. So so you were saying there just before we started talking that it's pretty hot there.
It's very hot. It's hot and quite sticky and muggy at the moment.
Yeah,
and
cannot handle that weather.
No, it's all right as long as it's dry heat. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's humidity that buggers you up.
So you're in Lusaka, is it? Or
We're in Lusaka, in Zambia,
and
Central Africa.
Yeah. So if I understand right, you were born in Zambia and then you spent most of your professional career in Germany and Australia?
Correct. That's right. Yep.
And that was in the wine industry?
Yep. I'm a winemaker or viticulturist by viticulturist by trade. And about 10 years ago, I came back to Zambia after saying I'd never come back, but never say never. And what do you do? So we started off importing some wines from South Africa because it just wasn't what you could get. It was not through my connections, and we could get some boutique wineries and wines like that. And then that wasn't. I thought I'd just have to ferment something. So I started with a small 50-liter brew magic system in a small room, and made beers in 120-liter containers. Did that for a while, but it just got my back wasn't agreeing with it, and washing bottles was difficult, and it was either let's go proper or just stop. So we went mad.
So when you came back to Zambia, you had no intention of setting up a brewery?
No.
Were there any independent breweries there?
No, there is. There's the ABMBF, Zambia Breweries. A few years ago, there was a small brewery, but that was before I came back, and I've just heard about it. And the problem here with doing small batch beer or craft brews or things like that, excise duty is madness here. So I reckon that was the first thing that kept people off from doing it. And just by that small 50-liter system and doing these 100-liter batches, it was interesting, but it was neither here or there. And then we thought, let's just jump in the deep end, and madman stands up every day. So we did that, started off going, so maybe a 300-liter brewery. You could do 2 batches a day, do 600 liters, let's see. Then it went up to 800, and then it went up to 1,000. And then a friend of mine, also a winemaker who was brewing in Switzerland, and he sort of helped me get into the brewing business again. And he says, Velten, why don't you get a 2,000-liter brewery? The stainless steel difference and the price difference is not that big. So we ended up getting a 2,000-liter brew house, but all manually, which is good. So there's no pressing of buttons. And so it's also good for us when we're working there. We know what's happening and we can watch and follow. So we did that. And of course, excise duty was still there. Well, I decided I believe in canning, so went to cans and don't have the infrastructure for doing bottles or cleaning or anything like that. And the can is a much better spear to keep your beer in.
Yeah.
And then we don't filter, we don't pasteurize or anything like so. All my beers I re-ferment in the can.
Okay.
And that just keeps it stable so that if it's on the back of a truck like a day like this, it'll hold and last. And my use-by date is I put on a year, and we've had beers coming back which they're out of date, and if they've been kept nicely and properly, we can drink them and do that. So that's good. But back to the tax bit is we pay 40% excise duty on selling price. So all our inputs and everything that go in gets taxed. And if you go against, not against, or if you explain how the big boys, so Zambia breweries, you'll look in there where you can work it back from their sales graph. A 375ml returnable bottle, they'll pay 4 kwacha 26 ngwe per litre excise duty. And we, because of our makeup and everything, pay 18 kwacha 66 ngwe per litre. And that just makes it really, really hard. So since starting the new brewery to where we are now, we haven't done more than 30,000 litres a year, and we're capable of doing 120,000.
Wow. And that is purely, why is there the difference? Like, what makes the difference between your excise and their excise? Is it just
because it's all input? Okay, small scale. There's only 3 or 4 of us. Our input costs, so staff, all that is much higher. Our can comes from South Africa, so we have to pay whatever the can costs us. I think it's $1. No, I'm not good with numbers, but whatever the can costs us, we pay 40% of that excise. Whatever the label costs us, we pay 40% excise. Whatever the carton costs us, we pay 40%. So all inputs into the product is what we pay on. So if it was, I could live with 40% in tank, that would be great.
Yeah.
We could do that and have. So we've been fighting now for 3 years. And now this Friday is the new budget. We're keeping our fingers crossed that for micro craft brewery under a certain litre limit, they change the excise
right
to get that going. Otherwise, we're in trouble, and we have to then find out what other things we can do.
And that, like you said, it stopped anyone else really trying to set up any small breweries.
Yeah, there's one more brewery at Bonanza, which is a golf course, and they've got a hotel, but they just, they make their beers in kegs, and they've got taps around town. They don't do anything in bottle or cans or anything like that. And there again, because the tax is again different on draft, because you don't have all the inputs to it. You're just taking it out of your tank, putting it into a tank, and then selling it.
Okay.
So your inputs are much lower.
Yeah, I understand. So I mean, the first thing I guess is like, what with that kind of level of tax, why did you still go ahead and set up the brewery?
Because every day somebody mad stands up and gets out of bed. But what else are you going to do? We got to not fight the system, but it's nice. It's passionate to do it, to make something. The winemaking side it's nice to get people. Nothing's nicer than to see people enjoy your brewery. I know your brewery, your beers, or people enjoying it. And if we don't do it, who else is going to do it? This is home. This I was born here. I'm back here. Where am I going to go? I could go back to Australia. Whatever. Our family and everything is here. So it is a bit mad. But if we were still thinking about it, we'd still be sitting there thinking about it.
Right. So you just got to take that jump sometimes.
Yeah. And then because of that, excise duty on clear spirit used to be 60% of input. So when we used to make RTDs, so we'd buy spirit from Swaziland, it would come over the border, we'd pay 120% excise duty on it, and then we'd put it into our product, take it down to 4.5%, and then pay 60% plus your 16% VAT on top of that. So 2,000 litres of that, we used to pay 33,000 kwacha excise duty. Then some people said, no, we can't. Otherwise, we just become an import country and smuggle. Smuggling that's what it entices. So they changed it to 60% of input. So they kept their 60%, so nobody complains about that. So now we do the same. We get our spirit from South Africa, Swaziland. We bring it over the border, pay 120%. Then we put it into the product, but we use per 2,000 liters, we use about 80 kilos of product. 60% of that 80 kilos is 2,000 kwacha. So we've gone from 33 down to 2,000. So we might as well just make RTDs now and things like that. But because of that, we've got a still here now that we're hopefully going to be commissioning soon. I'm still waiting on some hoses. And then looking over the alternatives, to make a Zambian rum, just trying to use local fruits.
Right.
To do something like that. And that again is what the winemaking background brings into that. We're still, we're fermenting fruit, we're drying fruit, we're trying to do different things. So I don't know. I just hope it's not money poured down a hole because, as you said, why did you do it? But there's also positiveness in it that, the country's changing, governments change, people begin to understand. And it's, you have to. I mean, what's the use of you loan the bank to get to break this, or you loan from the bank to build yourself a nice house along the river and go fishing every weekend. But what you're going to do during the week?
Yeah, makes sense. But does that mean, like, is it impossible or difficult so to get any of the ingredients locally? Or
so we get our the plain malt. So what we just use, our clear malt, we get here from Zambia breweries.
Okay.
And that is very, very good quality. And our extraction of that is fantastic. So we get our base malt from there. Then, say, our Shempo beer, which we put cassava and sorghum in it, that comes locally. The sorghum, the girls at the market, they malt it for us. So we ring up when we want. We say then and then we want to brew. And then they'll do that. And then the cassava, we also have them, they mill it for us really coarsely, and we use that. But the specialty malts and the hops, everything comes from in Europe, the specialty malts, but the hops we get from South Africa.
Okay. So let me just be clear. So the locally produced inputs they must be lower tax.
No.
They're still also the same.
That's you see, you're buying that.
Okay.
You're buying that. You pay. So the sorghum we pay no tax on because it's at the market or whatever. When we pay the malting plant, we just we pay VAT on it. That's it. But it's part of input.
Okay.
Yeah, it's part of the process of doing it. So whatever it costs you to make that liter in a can with everything, all those costs are put together.
Okay. So there is it's not really designed to kind of encourage local business as opposed to instead of import. It just doesn't matter.
No. It's because of the saying, we don't want people to get drunk. Alcohol is bad for you. Let us tax it. So the more we tax it, the more illegal smuggling is. I can take you to a road down here where you can buy Black Label, Glenfiddich, hey, whatever you want. You go, how the hell do you do that? But it's stuff that's fallen off the back of the truck, or I don't want to know how, and I'm not allowed to say how or what but there's a lot of smuggled stuff that gets, and I don't know how they do it. I can go into ShopRite, which is our main, one of the big shopping stores here. So I can see a 500 ml Tafel light from Namibia. So it's come from Namibia. It's crossed the border. Because it's import, they've paid 40% excise on it. And you find it in ShopRite, the 500 ml Tafel light for 12, 13 kwacha. Then you see 500 ml Tafel lager for about 22 kwacha. Then you see Wild Dog Tiemann beer in the top right-hand corner, 330 ml between 29 and 31 kwacha.
Yeah,
it's nice to support local, but at the end of the day, it's the back pocket that pays. So the people that can drink my beer and afford it, they do. But that market is sort of saturated. And I now have somebody with us with marketing. We're just trying to open that and see, and then also pushing the RTDs of what we can do. But hopefully this Friday, it'll be a turnaround for us. Otherwise, the fight will really get hard.
Right. So who is your market at the moment?
Who's?
Who is your market? Do you have a profile of who goes out and like who buys your beer as opposed to, like you said, the cheaper ones?
I suppose all people with good jobs.
Right.
You know, you can't really categorize it as a black, white, green, pink, or purple.
Yeah. And just
it's people that enjoy it and who can afford it, and there's a few areas where it's better, but at the end of the day, there's still a lot of, I mean, not a lot, there's a hell of a lot of people, and even we have to is look at your back pocket. You can't, money's scarce. There's no movement here. There's a little bit of building there. From our previous government where they were, building roads and throwing around money, and you're wondering how people have it, to now everything's really tight and trying to put order in. But the people on the road are suffering. It's hard.
Yeah. So I mean, how do you distribute it then? Do you have a tap room?
No, I don't like people, so I thought no.
Okay, so it's purely
no. When I started, and I said to my wife, "Come on, let's do a tap room and restaurant." And then she says, "I know you. Do you want to sit there every night till 10 o'clock and
talk to people
and talk to and just being there on the tap and being lived out of here so long, and where everybody is more reliable is wrong, but where people would count properly and do but people who have bars, they have to stand there, they have to look, they have to see, has water been put into my whiskey, or how many of my beers have been sold and how many have been taken, like that. You really have to be like a policeman, and it's not my job. So I rather make good beer. We've got a few taps. There's a few places that have our beer on tap. Then we're in a few supermarkets, a few small shops, and people who come, and it travels well. And there's always, it sounds like I'm complaining a lot and doing, but we still somehow manage to sell 30,000 liters a year.
Right.
And it's working, but there's no growth. We're cleaning the floors more than anything else.
Right. Yeah.
But for me, it's also more important to have a good product, and people that like say, yes, we're having a Wild Dog and we're doing, and I don't want to do sacrifices there or whatever. And however hard it is, it's you have to.
Yeah. So the beers themselves that from your website, and maybe there's other stuff, but they were not really, I think, what I was expecting, because everybody, as you know, they've been doing IPAs and IPAs and just variations. You've gone more traditional beers. Is that?
So yeah, because again, it's the history. Because what you get here is your Mosey, your Castle Light, your Castle, your Black Label, your Heineken. If you want to spend some money, you get your Corona. So I always say, everybody, if you could see that, everybody is sort of on this level. And I thought, why should I do an IPA? Why should I do anything? People ask me, but there'll be two or three, or they'll drink one and they'll go back and say, no, give me what I know.
Right.
So if this is the normal level, I've now tried to go up a bit and then keep it so more flavor, more intensity, more structure. No, not more mouthful. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for something completely offbeat, because nobody knows it here. And if you make 2,000 liter batch, if you can it is 5,000 cans. That's a lot of beer to sell to people who don't know and don't really like it.
Yeah, it makes sense. I was just kind of, I mean, the whole talk, people have always said about lagers, that you have to have a good lager, because 90% of the people, that's what they're used to. So you just set a slightly better quality lager than they're used to, and that's it. But yeah, I would just because, well, I mean, it's been oversaturated in my opinion with IPAs. Like everybody's doing an IPA, and sometimes that's all you can get. But I was just
No, but you still you want to sit down and drink your beer and enjoy and say, shit, this is nice. I'll have another one.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm trying to do. So Bonanza, he'll go a little bit left field, and he'll make his, a little bit more hoppy and a little bit more this and that. But I also, when I see what he's doing, he's not really going completely left field,
Right.
and his batches aren't that big. So it must be
it's local taste.
same thing around. And there's a few home brewers around, and they just love it, and they love throwing the hops in it, and they love, and let them, which is good. And when they come and they ask what you support, and you say, that's great, but at the end of the day, we do have to make money. We have to survive somehow.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. And you're also doing, like you said, these ready to drinks, and you're doing soda waters and stuff. So you've got
we do the soda water, we do a tonic water. We've got a copper mule, which is a vodka and ginger drink, so like the Moscow mule. But because we've got copper in Zambia, and nobody would know what you'd say if you'd say Moscow mule, so we just thought the copper mule, and we've got the nice color of the can. A gin and tonic, and that one we were sort of copying now a dry gin, and then because of the pricing and things, a pink gin and a citrus gin. Right. We want to do and bring that onto the market, so at least we have a cash cow, if you want to call it that. But it's a hard market. There's a lot of them here already, not some locally, but also imported from South Africa, and so. Right. At the end of the day, it's Wild Dog, it's Zambian. And then when people say, this is not Zambian, it's Zambian. Wow. And it's
so yeah, so you're playing is the wrong word, but the fact that you're a local brewery doing something locally is important, and it's part of the reason people choose you if they can afford that little bit extra.
Yeah, and it's what we stand for, and they know what they're going to get. And because we're still lucky we fall under the craft. If something does go wrong or whatever, you can say, but guys, it's craft beer. Because I always, as a winemaker, I always say making wine is easier than making beer. Because, if it's a Sauvignon Blanc or Chenin or whatever it is, people say, you can taste, you know what you're going to get if you're going to get a Chenin, you know what it is. The acidity might be a little bit different, or the sugars might be a little bit different. Then you say, well, in 1998, the sun was shining longer and the days were colder and whatever. And that's what gave the characteristic. And okay, but we can still smell it's that. But a beer, if you make your beer and the guy goes into the pub on Wednesday and he drinks your lager or your pale ale or your amber, and in 2 weeks' time he goes again, it tastes different, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So that monotonous, consistent play on keeping, every time you taste or whatever, you clean this, you clean. You've got to be very, very rigid. If you this temperature for so many minutes and that for so many minutes, and you're adding of hop, you have to be regimented. And so the brewer I have with me, or Imran, he started with us, and the guy who helped us build up Dani has sort of taken him under his wing, and he's starting to do his IBD, the brewing and distilling course, and he's taken it to a duck to water. And so in that sense, I'm also very lucky that, we're a good team and there's reliability, both sides. And that's important, especially when we're only a team of 3 people.
Okay. Yes. Yes, you must be able to trust each other pretty.
Yeah, and that's going to be right. But it's also, what is good for Imran is, especially with that name, he does drink. is he gets, oh, you work at Wild Dog, the beer is good and whatever. So it's his proudness as well. I made this, I actually done it, and so it's good.
Yeah, well, that's the whole reason craft, in inverted commas, because the word is a bit all over the place now. But independent brewing took off because people want to be able to say that they made that, basically. I mean,
Yeah, and
most
just
brewers.
something different and what people enjoy and have.
Yeah. And so, how do you distribute it then? You said you don't have a tap room. Are you only in Lusaka?
So we're in Lusaka mainly. So we've got one small van and a guy who drives around. Then for the game parks and lodges, there's a company that always drives out Friday morning early to Luangwa Valley, and then we'll get orders through them. So different lodges and bush camps we'll take there. The mines used to be really good. So we had up in Solwezi where the copper is mined, and then we used to be able to put our kegs on the aeroplane and take it there. But their flying department isn't working anymore, so it's much more difficult to get. So our sales have gone really down there, and they were really good. The copper belt, there's one guy who will take, but only if we can find transport. And then as we're in Pick and Pay and ShopRite, and we send it to their hubs here, and they'll distribute it. But it's mainly Lusaka, and then when farmers come, they'll come and buy, or they'll know where to do. So there is a small network that's sort of working.
Okay. And I mean, you mentioned the lodges and that. So is tourism, like, when people? There's obviously a big tourism industry. Is there?
Tourism industry is big.
Yeah. So are they specifically looking for a Zambian beer than the tourists because they want something local?
I think they'll first go for Mosey because Mosey is just known as the local Zambian beer, and Mosey, the label has got Victoria Falls coming over, and it's the local lager, and it's a good beer, and that's the widely distributed. The trucks drive everywhere.
Okay. So
And again there as well, even though the lodges and everything, the customers pay a lot for it, but it's also expensive to uphold. So it's not the beer you'd want to put on as the beer, not giveaway, but if it's drinks inclusive,
okay.
7 kwacha versus 25 kwacha, a can is also a difference.
Right.
But it's slowly spreading, and people are asking for it, and it's going. So it's Rome wasn't built in a day.
That is true. No, the reason I'm asking is because I hadn't thought about the all-inclusive side, but I remember talking to a brewer he's in Killarney, which is a huge tourism town in Ireland, and he said they could not get distribution in the pubs until all the tourists started asking for the local beer. And then they discovered that, they wanted the beer that was brewed locally, which they just wouldn't have. So it was the tourists got it in for them. And then locals started buying it. And, but it was struck me as kind of a strange roundabout way of getting that distribution.
But it's also, and there it shows you again, the big boys who can flex their muscles, they'll put their taps in, and then they'll say, look, we will support you and do whatever, but it's only our taps.
Yeah.
Or fridges, it's only our fridge. So what are you going to say? You got a little shop, or you got a little bar, you got nothing there. Geez, something for free? Yep, I'll take it.
Yeah.
And and we're in the bars where we've got taps. I just always say, excuse me, please don't ever put our beer on your tap. On the big on the, just use our tap and do that. Don't. You bow and you're humble that you're allowed to stand next to them, which is bullshit. But
no, I mean, and that, they do that everywhere. Like, it is always big complaints over here too. Like, that the big boys just they'll do up the pub for them, and they'll put all the signage and stuff, and then there is a condition.
Exactly. Yep. And so But we're just resilient. We're lucky, and we're very, very lucky that where the brewery's on and everything, it's family land. So if we would have had to pay
Right.
$5,000 a month rental, like some of these warehouses that we went to look at, I'd be non-existent.
Right.
Excuse me. There would be nothing. So no, it's not one on the banana peel and the other one in the grave, but
Yeah.
it's hard. But we just keep ticking at it. What else we're going to, what else are we going to do? We've got it, and we're trying to do our best to get it out there and to make it known.
And I suppose then, if you're doing it that way, is there any kind of incentive to export or anything? Do you get any?
So a friend I worked with in Tasmania, I can't remember the company, some company in Dubai, and they opened up stores in Tanzania. So next door in the yard, we've got trucks, and he sends them sometimes to Dar es Salaam. So I put some beers on that. And then he said, come, I'll take some beer. Let's get the paperwork done. It took us 2 years to get the paperwork done. By the time my beer got there, he'd left to go to another job for the same company in Singapore. The new guy took over, and oh no, the beer's arrived. I really like the beer and all that. And then how are the sales going? When are the sales starting? And no, we're still checking. And then when are the sales? There's one form that's missing, a SADC form. That form is missing. And because that form's missing, they're hammering us 30% excise duty.
Jesus.
So my beer, we got it there, everything. I mean, we got paid, and I would love to have it, but they're never going to buy my beer again.
Yeah.
So then we went to Kasumbalesa, which is a border town between Chile-Lobombo and the Congo. And if you carry it over on a wheelbarrow or a bicycle, so they have these bicycles that can you can't sit on the bicycle. It's really just two wheels, a big frame, and then pieces of wood that balance all the stuff. We thought, okay, let's go and see what we can do there. And that was interesting, but we haven't met the right people yet of how to get it to the Congo. And that would be good, because I don't know if they don't work or they don't care. They're just into their minerals and mining, because there's a lot of money there.
Right.
So we've looked at that avenue, and still trying to think where. Then I've had people from South Africa. Oh, can we get your beer? Can you get your beer here? But again, the paperwork and everything to do it. And at the end of the day, you're just transporting water.
Yeah.
So it's hard. Now we've had some people from Zimbabwe. Yes, please, how can we do it? It was more about the RTD. We want that. But it's difficult, or you get all these people asking, and then very few
follow through.
Fruition. So, and this reminds me, when I was doing my apprenticeship in Germany, we had one girl in our class, and we never used to laugh a bit. We'd say, she always used to say, we've got 7 buses. We've got 7 buses coming, with people doing wine tasting, come to eat in their restaurant and whatever. And then, now we've got buses. And we just think, a bus is what load of between 30 and 60 people. We say, are you guys making money from this or whatever? He says, no, but it's advertising. If from every bus we get 1 or 2 customers that stay with us, and always buy our wine and everything, that then we're doing really well. So what I'm trying to say is, with all these people asking, and you just go down there, hopefully there'll be 1 or 2, all of a sudden, yes, it'll click, and they'll say, okay, let's take it.
Right.
So, you've got to pick at it.
And is that mainly what you're doing? Just kind of trying to keep making those individual contacts, or do you have some sort of do you have a marketing budget and the advertising, or is it purely word of mouth?
Sorry, I can't hear. I think it's gone dead. You mentioned marketing budget.
Yeah, I was asking with.
I'm joking with you, mate. Marketing budget and me don't get along.
Oh, okay, sorry. Sorry.
No, so there's no real budget. We've had a few, there's a lot of people that have come to help, and I've got somebody now who seems to be really good in, trying to do Facebook, Instagram, and just to get it around Lusaka and getting influencers that are being seen drinking the beer or stuff like that. It's, where do we want to put something up? If there's a shop in a shopping center where you can buy our beer, you could put a placard up or do whatever. It's not, we've got markets, we've got a food market in a few places. I've got an old Land Rover that we've done up, and so it's a moving bar. So we have that, and I drive that around. And the people that know us. But to say there's really a budget or something, it's hand to mouth at the moment. There's no, there's great ideas, but I mean, even the guy now, he says, no, I can see there's potential in this product and whatever. And he's putting a lot more effort in for what than what he's being paid.
Right.
So it's,
So
even if you look at the cars and whatever that they are driving, they're also kept together by, a strap and a piece of chewing gum. It's
right. So basically, your hopes for the future are basically reliant on this losing some of the tax and
and diversifying. It's the changing the tax just. I mean, it will be if we can go from 25 kwacha down to 18 kwacha or something like that. I mean, that's 7 kwacha difference.
Yeah.
That would be really great. And then just and start pumping out our beer, but then also diversifying for RTDs and things like that, and then diversifying with the distillery. And it's trying to think outside the box. What else can we do to make it work? And it will work. I say, optimistically, and it has to, because we've invested so much. We've got the brewery room it's the state of the art, or state of the art for us of what we've got, and it's very basic, but it's got everything. It's temperature controlled, it's gas, it's clean. There's everything. There's no reason not being able to do something, or everything works. Nothing's falling apart.
Yeah,
but it's just not being utilized.
Yeah, so it sounds like you just need one or two things to kind of fall into place, and then hopefully it'll.
Yeah, and then I'm sure it will, and then we won't know if we're Arthur or Martha.
Right.
But it's getting there, and having the enthusiasm to well, you have to carry on. There's nothing else we can do.
Yeah. Sorry, just one of the things that struck me there is, I mean, you said that the whole tax, the excise, is all part of an anti-alcohol, part of an anti-drinking campaign, basically. And does that actually work? No, I didn't think so. I just thought I'd check that.
It doesn't. I don't know if it was somebody who came here out of goodwill many, many years ago. I mean, this law didn't come out yesterday, so it's been going for a long time. But whoever thought about it or whoever did that I don't know what they were thinking.
Right.
Because you will never get booze away from it. It doesn't matter how expensive you make it or how, there will always be something to find to do.
Yeah, and I mean, that's worldwide. I mean, you just have to look at places like Scandinavia. It's ridiculously high here, but as far as I know, they have the same rate of drinking as everywhere else in the world, or the US during Prohibition. Like, none of it. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't
deter anything, and it doesn't change anything. But if they bring it down, they do it, more people will start. We need more micro-breweries. We need more brew pubs. We need the people who want to do their IPA in 100-liter batch or something, or want to do, their Pacific Ale or whatever. there is a market for it,
Yeah.
and people will then go to that pub and do it, and there's growth.
Yeah.
There's excise. Excise will be paid, so more money will come in.
And is that excise based on the level of alcohol, or is it just a pure inputs to regardless of the percentage of alcohol?
No, it doesn't. It's got nothing to do with percentage. I've put that forward to them as well. Alcohol is alcohol. It doesn't matter.
Okay, because I was thinking, at least if you have it lower on a beer than compared to a whiskey, I mean, you're at the moment, if it's the same price, then you're
Yeah,
encouraging.
but this is just in the beer. In the whiskey, it's 60%, right?
Right.
Okay, but in the beer, it's not. So
Oh,
I don't know where. I'm sure
here.
there's more different places in the world. Come here, Imran. So this is, sorry, he's about to go home. This
Oh,
is Imran. Imran
Hi, how are
is
you?
the one
hi.
who does all the work. So he's been with us since day one when Dani came and showed us how to install, and he's learned a lot. And he's the one who brews,
And who
who
produces all
he's
the
the one
beers?
who works. Yeah, I just try and look good.
Well,
Yeah, so
yeah,
he's going home. So
okay,
he's saying goodbye. So I thought, all righty, mate.
all
All
right.
good.
Oh, good. We short about 8 kilos, but I confirmed with John we should get for minutes.
Down the road. Okay. All righty, mate. Thank you. Cheers.
Yeah, so sorry, I'm sure it sounds like you're busy, so I'll let you go in a second. But just on the excise, so there's nothing for, say, encouraging people to have, like you say, a session beer of, say, 4% versus an
No,
imperial.
because and that's sorry, that was where we were going before he came. No, they're all going up. Everyone's gone home now, so I'm not going to do anything. So that's what they do in South Africa. So you pay less. I think it's 126 rand per 100% beer. So what you're saying? So everybody who makes a 4% or 3% beer just pays less. And I've put that here in our papers to say let's try and do that. So the higher the alcohol, the more tax you pay.
Yeah. Well, if you're trying to encourage people to drink less, then that makes sense. I mean, that is just logical.
And you'll still get, but I think it's just so set in their system and in their ways that's how it is.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what we're going to change. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it sounds. I wasn't expecting that there was all these issues in there. I knew you were, like I said, just two independent breweries. I was wondering why, but yeah, it sounds like there is no encouragement for anyone to set up any sort of independent brewery, any independent pub, or create that kind of infrastructure with farmers and all of that.
No, although somebody spoke to me the other day. They had somebody from the not tobacco board, but a big tobacco company, and a good alternative crop for them would be barley. And barley that's grown in Zambia has got very high acclaim. And when they started that malting plant, people from America came and wherever else, and they said, wow, the quality you can get here is just fantastic. And then he said, but if we could encourage the tobacco farmers as an alternate crop to do barley, then we could open up a brewery and do everything. I said, that would be great, but good luck. This and this and this is what it is. But should the law change, not that the floodgates are going to open, but I think the mushrooming is going to take place. So on the flip side of that is because we've been already 3 years, nearly 3 years in as Wild Dog in cans and everything, we've got that jump ahead.
Yeah.
Wild Dog is known. So that's a bonus before all the others start.
Yeah.
So that's, but it would be better for the market if there was enough people to drink. And the country is big and it's diverse.
Yeah.
So
And that, I mean, I think that's what you see everywhere where they kind of started easing things up on small craft breweries, and that there's a mushrooming with them. Yeah, not all of them survive, but you create this infrastructure and you create this community, and it just seems to feed itself basically and just grow. And the
I
competition from all the brewers, they don't see each other as the competition. Like there's still the big internationals that have 90% of the market, so they're the competition.
that's that's true. It's a competition, but competition is also good. It keeps you on your toes. And again, from the winemaking background, you'll work in a village. There'll be maybe 7, 8, 9 wineries, and you'll gravitate to one or two who are your friends and whatever, and you go, "Hey, taste this," or this. I saw in your vineyard this and this is happening, and that's what I miss here is the interaction of, come and take, do this, do that. But then the other thing you can say, I'm sure for brewers as well, but in the wine world, you can say you can take 3 winemakers, put them in one bag, close it, and hit on it. You'll never hit the wrong one.
I hadn't heard that one. No, that's a new phrase to me.
So I'm sure it's there as well. But no, we're all trying to do something good and make it work. And at the end of the day, the product's got to stand there, and people would go, "Wow, yes, this is good," or
Yeah,
it's not, or whatever.
yeah. It doesn't matter whether you're local, whether you're if your product isn't there, then you don't deserve to be in
Yeah,
business.
that's right.
And it sounds like you have the product from what from what you're saying. Like your brewer there. Sorry, I forgot his name. Um, yeah, he like it sounds like you've got the right people, the right product.
Oh,
Would you prefer not to be diversifying into the other stuff? Would you prefer it to be just the brewery, or are you happy?
It would make it easier because then I can just. It's a brewery. It's not a. We're not a. We're not a. We're not a madam. Or when they ever say we're coming to the factory or I say no, it's a brewery, and that's our core business. But unfortunately, it's not our core business.
Right.
But through the winemaking, and I've always had, distilling, making grappa or taking fruits and doing stuff. There's always been there. So this rum thing and local fruits is also close to heart, but it's forced upon me because what are we going to do there? We have to do something, and it can get very frustrating and lonely when you sit up here and you think, shit, it's not moving, and then they say, well, go out and sell, go there. I refuse to knock on doors and say, because it's not me as a person to go and talk to people, and some will say, no, we don't have time, or we don't want, or okay, don't worry, thank you very much, then
Yeah.
and you're just wasting your time by sending me out on the road. Once we know people, and then there's no problem. I can talk till the cows come home. But to go out there and do, it's not me.
Right. Well, it sounds like, I'll let you go because it sounds like, yeah, you've got maybe, hopefully, over the toughest points, and things are about to change in the budget, hopefully.
Well, it's just hope. I mean, we can laugh and do hope, but it's sad. But
Yeah.
we've got to be optimistic, and we've just got to think outside of our box. What is our box, and what's
Yeah.
no, we're not going to be confined by let's see where we can move the walls and where we can, shit. If we have to make 100,000 liters of RTDs, I don't know, every 3 months, which will make me madness. But then we'll have to do it.
Yeah. I just have to do what I do.
There's a kid that has to go to school. There's dogs that have to be fed.
Yeah, you just have to do what you have to do to
you have to. That's right.
the support
And
the stuff you love, basically.
yeah, and it would be sad then, but no, it will work. It'll have to work.
Okay, well, I hope it does. Because yeah, it would be nice to be able to come down someday to Zambia and say, yeah, you're there and you're well known across the whole country, and find your beer somewhere.
No, let's we just fingers crossed, and we just got to work away at the quality, and
yeah, like we said, like if you keep the quality, at least you have something you can be proud of, something that when people do buy it, they will come back.
Yeah,
So,
but it's We're not crying yet completely.
Okay, that's good. Velten, thanks a million. Thanks really for
Nice. Thank you. Sorry it took so long. I don't know how long you've been trying to do this, but I'm glad we've done it. I hope this was okay. And
Yeah, no, it was a pleasure, real pleasure to talk. And yeah, let's keep an eye on maybe sometime we can talk again, and when things have moved up that curve or something.
okay, not a worry.
All right, thanks a million.
All righty, mate. Thank you. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.